Thanks for coming to our presentation workshop. I think this was called Creating Engaging Presentations to Connect with Your Audience. The focus of this is going to be just about, I'm going to spend a little bit of time just talking about an intro to design. It'll be super quick, talking a little bit about the elements of design, talking about color and typography, and then the bulk of the presentation will kind of be about visual aids. Online tools that you guys can use to put more visuals in your presentation rather than just having blocks of text. We'll discuss how that can help you, evoke feeling and leave lasting impressions on your audience. So in terms of elements of design, I know this might seem kind of basic, but just talking about how lines are one element of design. So just kind of to give you an example, like this Wired magazine, they're using a lot more of like vertical lines to keep it very clean and kind of this tech vibe versus like the example on the right, which is using more diagonal lines to create something more dynamic, bring more motion. And then thinking about shapes, when you think of shape, you think of a square or a triangle, right? But we also kind of want to think about organic shapes. Like the Space Camp site is using things that are very rounded. They want to create like a friendly vibe. They're a project management tool, but they want to make it seem approachable. So you can see kind of the use of rounded corners versus how Squarespace kind of has really straight lines. They want to be like a professional, clean website. So that's kind of the emotion that they want to evoke. Another element is texture. That's something you guys can think about when doing your presentation. Is there, this kind of has water on this website, so they're trying to evoke that you're there. Versus like this website for Spotlight, they kind of have this texture that's more like a newspaper feel. And then color. Color's really important to think about. In terms of marketing, people they realize how much people infer from color. So you want to think about, are you trying to use warm colors, cool colors, or neutral colors, depending on your topic and your audience. The other element is typography. I'll show you guys just some sites you can grab fonts from, and also kind of a site that will help you find fonts that complement each other as you guys kind of make those. And then let's talk a little bit more about color. So these are two tools that we use here to kind of help us create color palettes. So I'm going to cover them really quickly. Oh, of course the internet's not working. Okay, so this is the Adobe Color website. What it allows you to do is kind of choose a base color, like red or yellow and orange, and then it creates like a palette for you. So you can make a complementary palette, you can make a monochromatic palette, and then use these colors throughout your presentation. The other tool is colors.io. Oops. No, .co. So this is this pretty similar tool. I do like this tool because it allows you to lock colors. So like, let's say you want to have this color, and then you just keep hitting the space bar and it'll give you like different color palettes. So something to consider when you guys are starting to do design. So that's color, and then in terms of typography, just quick sans serif versus serif. Serif fonts have a flourish around the edges of the letters, as you guys can see there. Typically like newspapers use sans serif fonts versus sans serif, which kind of have more of a modern look. And then in terms of type, you want to be mindful of kind of the leading and tracking. You don't want something that's unreadable. I won't talk about kerning. Alignment's not as useful. Okay, and then here are 2 sites that you guys can use to pull fonts from. So Lost Type is one that we use a lot here. Defont.com has a lot of fonts that you guys can find, and they categorize them by types of style. And then one other website I wanted to mention was Canva. Let's say you're using a particular font. It'll tell you how other websites out there are using that font and pairing it with other fonts. So you just type in the main font that you're using, and then it'll give you a secondary font that you can use to complement it. And then in terms of design principles, when you're designing a slide, you kind of want to also think about hierarchy. And so that's kind of the arrangement of things according to relative importance. So like for these flyers that we made, you obviously want them to, their eyes to go to the headline first, and then the description, and then maybe the date and time. So, thinking about the sizing of things on your slide and how you're arranging them in terms of where the viewer is looking. We kind of talked about legibility and readability, but just, using your fonts wisely. Does the font make sense for like the tone and style of your design? If it's a paragraph of text, you obviously don't want to use something that's very stylized like the one on the right. Using repetition is a useful tool. You notice like for this presentation, I've just been using kind of these 5 color blocks at the top and changing the header that each one is using. So just thinking about how you can create repetition in your presentation. If there's like 5 points that you're making, maybe those 5 points are stylized the same way throughout the presentation. And then obviously, as you guys know, the final point is just knowing your audience. So all of these elements that we talked about, they all feed into knowing who you're trying to appeal to. So that's going to guide the tone, the format, the look and feel. So what colors, what fonts, and what kind of style choices you're making. Like if you're making a presentation for parents, it might want to be more serious, you might want to have more stats, you might want to keep the color palette not too, like childish. So things like that to consider. Does anyone have any questions about that? It's pretty simple. Cool. The next thing I'll talk about is just presentation tools and visual aids that you guys can use. Obviously, there's the standard tools, which are Keynote and PowerPoint, which I won't talk about because everyone knows how to use those. But one tool that I wanted to talk about was Adobe Spark. So let me mirror my screens. Cool. So if you guys go to spark.adobe.com, this tool allows you to do 3 things. It allows you to make social media graphics, it allows you to make web pages, and it also allows you to make video stories. The one I'm going to talk about is web pages. I've seen some people use this for presentations. The one downside of it is it basically creates a parallax site. You have to kind of be tied to your computer to scroll through it as you do your presentation. So sometimes that's not great if you don't want to be tied to like the podium. But if you're an Annenberg student, you guys all have Creative Cloud accounts, and that's how you'll sign in to Adobe Spark. It's free, so you can also just register on your own. I'll show you really quickly. Let's see. Projects. Well, let me show you an example. So what it allows you to do is create a page. If you guys want to create an account and follow along, you can. Otherwise, you can kind of just see how this works. So basically what it does is it allows you to add elements. So you can add, headers, you can add images, and so people will use it so there's this moving element. They can put boxes of information. You can add text. You can add a caption. So let me show you guys some examples from their site. Can I do that? Sign out. Where's their inspiration? So like this one, they did a page about the journey across the Himalayas. So if you kind of wanted to do like a narrative like that and talking about it, and it's very visual elements, you can make these full page images, scroll as you're kind of talking through it. It's just like a little more of a dynamic, different type of presentation you can make. You know, you want to be careful about blocks of text, but you can see how it has this kind of like scroll in box on images on top. So all of that can be done through this interface. And it's pretty simple. I mean, I won't go over too much, but it's literally just hitting this plus button and you can add different photos, text. You can put buttons, you can embed videos, you can create a photo grid, and then they have different themes that you can use depending on. So the one downside is you can't pick your own fonts or colors. It's kind of based on these themes that they have already. But they have a lot of nice different themes. So you can see how the headers change, the style of the photos change as you select different themes. So I've seen a couple people use this at conferences. It's just a different way instead of using Keynote or PowerPoint. And then the next tool I'll talk about, which I think will be helpful for some of you, if your presentation is very timeline based, like if you're talking about something, what was yours again?
It's like history and like past.
Yeah, so yeah, if you wanted to tell the history of, you know, you said Bunker Hill, Timeline.js is a really cool tool. So like it's timeline.nightlab.com. So you can see they have an example right here, like this is about women in computing. And as you go through, it's kind of like a slideshow, but you'll notice that at the bottom there is a timeline. So it's kind of showing you, okay, in this year this happened. You can embed things like Google Maps. You can embed YouTube videos. You can have a quote. You can embed Wikipedia. Audio clips and things like that, and it's super easy to use. I'll show you guys how to make it. So yeah, this is mostly if your presentation is very timeline based. You will want to make a timeline, and it has the 4 steps. It's really easy. So all you have to do is get the spreadsheet template. So what this does is it works with Google Drive. So you just need to be logged into a Google email, and it gives you the template to make it. So what it does is it creates this spreadsheet for you, and it gives you a headline, gives you the text, gives you the media. You can put a media credit, you can put a media caption, and then over here is where you would put the date and time. And they have like help docs as well if, you know, it's a little confusing, but essentially like the text right here is what ends up right here. So each of your elements will be a row in the spreadsheet, and then like let's say you have a image, you put the URL of that image there, and then that's what populates here, or the YouTube video. Yeah.
A question about the thumbnail.
Mm-hmm. So it has to be a URL. It has to reference something. So like you guys can use like Tiny URL or whatever those like free image. There's like a ton of free image hosting sites. I think Tiny URL is one. Oh no, that's shortened. What is the other one called? Let me pull up. Free image. Yeah, there's a bunch of like free image hosting that you guys can use so that you can use that image, or if you're pulling something from Google Images, you can pull that URL of that image. If you grab, you can like open image in new tab and actually grab that URL of that image and then put it into the media spot. And so That's the same if you wanted a YouTube video or if you grabbed a SoundCloud audio. If you guys for some reason had audio, you would plug that in there. And then the dates, and you can even be more specific if time factors into your timeline. And you guys should always be crediting whoever, you took that photo from. You can put a caption. Let's see, like this has a little bit of caption right here. That's how that shows up. And basically that's all you do, and then you publish it. So right here it tells you you publish it to the web, and then you put that Google Sheet URL right here. And then it gives you an embed code as well as a link to share it. And it formats it like this for you. So all you have to do is gather all the media and put in that information into the Google spreadsheet. Does that make sense? I think, let's see if I have an example. Yeah, all right. The other tool, so Night Lab, they produced that Timeline.js. They also made this one that's called Juxtapose.js. So if you guys just search like Night Lab, it's Northwestern University basically made all of these storytelling tools. I'm not going to show all of them, but they do have two other ones. There is one called Story Map, which I'll show you briefly. Actually maps things by location, and it works very similar to Timeline.js. It has the same format, but it's just you can choose where it starts. So if you do have something that kind of moves along location, or it's this could be very helpful too. Juxtapose.js is a little more if you have something that makes sense, then it works. What it does is it compares two images that are, from one time period versus another time period, so you can see the difference. So like I think this is them building the Sochi Olympics. So you can see like how it looked before, and then afterwards, after they built all the stadiums. They have some really cool examples of how they use it. Yeah.
So you can embed these
Mm-hmm.
PowerPoints.
You can embed them. So like if you were doing like on a web page, you could embed them. This one you could not embed into a PowerPoint. So what I'll show you next or later in the presentation is you can screen record your screen. So if you wanted to show this, what you could do is screen record you doing this so that it's in your presentation. That way, if you can't embed this, then you would do that. Let's see, they had an interesting... So like this one was funny. They like did 1998 Floyd Mayweather versus 2005. So this was like an interesting way to use it instead of how they have two images here. So all of these Night Lab ones have kind of examples that you can look through here and how they used it. So, and all you have to do is have two images. So you could upload them like to Dropbox or something and preview that and publish them. Cool. The other tool that you guys can use is called Infogram. So this is to help you create charts. So if you have like bar graphs and you don't have time to make something in like Illustrator or something custom, Infogram is a great tool, especially if you guys are using a lot of data, which I assume you guys will be to try and convince your audience. You'll want to create some graphs. So it's infogr.am. Oh, I'm already signed in, but what you can do is create an account, and then what it allows you to do is, let's see. So you can start a new project. So we'll start an infographic template. There are free themes that you can use. Obviously, they have stuff that's a little premium stuff, but the free ones should be enough. You can either work with a free template or you can start with something. So let's just start with a blank template. You'll title your project. Let's see, data. And then it gives you all of these tools to create different charts. So if you click on the left over here, there's line charts, bar graphs, column graphs, pie charts. Let's see. And then it kind of allows you to move it around the canvas however you want. And then you can add things like text to give it a header. You know, you could add some body copy next to it if you wanted to call out something. And then when you double click on charts, it gives you just a basic kind of like Excel format, so you can input that data as well as assign colors to different ones. It is also meant to be for embedding, like, because it is supposed to be interactive. You notice how there's kind of like 2 tabs here, but you could, you know, just screenshot this or export it as an image and use it in your presentation. And then they also have, you can add a map. I think you can only add 2 different types of map with the free version. You can add a world map or a United States map. So it does have a little bit of limitations with the free account. And then you can do properties, and there's like so many options within each chart, depending on which one you're using. You can also add images and add media, but that probably wouldn't be as useful in terms of a presentation. And then I think it allows you to download it as an image. So then you can download that as an image and then import it into your PowerPoint or Keynote. Do you guys have any questions about that? It's a pretty simple tool. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, this is actually new. Before, they didn't allow you to drag and move your charts anywhere on the canvas, but now you can. So that's Infogram. Another tool I wanted to show you guys is called Coggle, and this is for creating mind maps. So if you have kind of like a topic and you want to show all of the related things to that topic, you can kind of create this thing called a mind map. So like this one's about lasers. It has, you know, it has history, it has energy source, operation, laser light, and then each one kind of breaks out to something else. And you notice like they can add little images. So if you're trying to show the mind map of something, you know, related to gun violence, and you want to show all of the causes of that, this would be a really cool tool to use. It's free. I'll show you guys quickly. So you can create a diagram, and it's super simple. So if I was doing one about the digital lounge, I just double click and start typing, and then you kind of have these little nodes where you can add something to it. So I can say we offer certification courses. Can add, we have a help desk. I can add, we've got workshops. We have the space that people can study space. And then off of those, you can have different branches that come out. So it's that simple. And then allows you to move them around, etc. And then you could take a screenshot of this and then put it in your presentation. So that's kind of one use case for a mind map. Does anyone have any questions about that? Cool. And that's Coggle.com. The other tool that I wanted to talk about is called Unsplash, and this is just for finding good high-res images to put in your presentation. I know sometimes when you're Googling, you can't find a really nice high-res image and it's super small. Unsplash, let's see, is basically a repository of free photos, and so photographers will upload their images, and you can kind of search, you know, if you need someone on a computer, it'll give you a bunch of stock photos that have a computer in them, and you can download them, and they're all super high res, so when you put them in your PowerPoint, it won't look pixelated. But yeah, this is one of my favorite stock photo image sites, and this is also free. I don't even think you have to create a login. You can just download for free, and then the image will, and then it'll also ask you to credit the person who created the image. And then they also have collections that you guys can explore based on, different categories. So if you're searching for visuals, that's a good resource to use. Canva, I talked about a little earlier. They had that tool that was to find related fonts. And so Canva also allows you to kind of make social media graphics, but they have really nice layouts. So if you wanted to create a visual, it's basically, they just have templates and layouts, and then you kind of just add in your own words. You can add in images, and things like that. It's also a pretty simple tool, so I won't go into covering it, but check it out. It's called Canva. The other thing I wanted to show was Google Earth. I don't know if this would be something useful for you guys, but Google Earth allows you to kind of, let me launch it, zoom in on a particular location. If yours is based off of locations, you can zoom in, you can search a location. So like we went to Egypt. So this could be a nice visual if you're talking about a region. You can zoom in pretty far with Google Earth. Let's see. Even to like very close. Let me see if we can search USC. School of Cinematic Arts. And what you could do is you could screen record this happening on your screen if you wanted to kind of have that jumping from one place to another. But you can see like in a spot with buildings, it's literally showing you USC, showing you the buildings, showing you the roads. There's different, you can change the map style. So if you want it to have, all the points of destination, or if you want it to be more clean and just show your location. It looks like you can customize your own look and feel. So if you didn't want the landmarks or transit or whatever, you can get rid of those. So this is kind of a fun way to show location if that factors into your presentation. So and that's just earth.google.com. Another thing that I thought was cool is this tool called Google Trends. It's trends.google.com. What it does is they collect data based on our search inquiries. And so you can kind of show like they have a highlight of the Oscars 2018. You can see this is the most searched movies by Best Picture nominee. They show search interest in lead actor nominees. So you can kind of use this as data and use this as information. You can explore topics. Last week they had like stuff about the Olympics, which sports were people most interested in. Here they have one about guns in America. So interest in gun control in the last 7 days, interest in gun rights in the last 7 days, top questions that people are asking, top cities searching for gun control. So they have a lot of interesting data points that kind of can say, like, this is a relevant topic. Here's why, like, in Google, you can see that, lots of people are searching about this. They have Lunar New Year. But you can also just type in your own topic. These are just kind of the ones that they're highlighting. They have, immigration. If you click on it, it gives you the result. So there's a lot of really cool data here that Google provides. And then, so I was talking about how you can kind of screen record your screen. So, like, let's say you wanted to show that Google Earth. So if we zoomed out, So on Macs, there's QuickTime screen recording. So if you just open up your QuickTime player, what you can actually do is go to File and go to New Screen Recording. And then it gives you this window. So, let's see. And if you click on this, if you have a microphone plugged in like this one here, you can choose that as your sound source. You do want to be careful that, if you are also recording sound during the screen recording, that you're in a quiet place. It'll pick up like, vents or typing. But for the most part, you probably don't need sound when you're doing a screen recording because you're going to be talking during your presentation. But all you do is hit this record button, and then it says click to record full screen. And then, or you can just record parts of your screen, so you can actually like drag, like I only want this part of my screen recorded. And then I hit start recording. So then I could, over here, go to USC. And then it's going to record this like zoom in. And then you say, okay, that's perfect. Then you hit stop. What it's going to do is create that video file for you, so now I can play it back. And then you can embed that into your PowerPoint or Keynote. And in QuickTime, you can just trim that down if you need. If you're on a PC, what you can use is this tool called Jing. Just pull it up. It's also a free screen recording software. It does exactly the same thing. What it does is it creates this little sun icon up here, and it allows you to also drag. And then it'll ask you if you want to capture an image or if you want to capture a video. So like another use of this, if like you wanted to be showing, so it'll count down, and then now it's recording. If you wanted to show, like, while you're talking, you wanted to show a Twitter feed about a certain topic. Oh, I'm not logged into Twitter. You could like scroll through that Twitter feed and then put that in the background of your presentation. That's why it's a little more dynamic, and then instead of just like a screenshot of a tweet. And then you just hit stop when you're done, and then it's the same thing. You just save that file somewhere. That's screen restoring software. And then another thing is, like, sometimes when you're doing a presentation, you're like, man, I don't have a visual in mind, or like, I don't know, like, how do I do this without text? Something that I often do in presentations is just use icons. So Noun Project is a site that I use a lot. What they do is they have icons for everything. So literally you can search, like data analytics, and it'll give me an icon that represents data analytics. So if I was making a point like, oh, here are the services we offer. We offer creative media, we offer personal branding, and we offer data analytics. Instead of just having those words on my presentation slide, I could actually put each of these icons on there and have more of a visual representation of the points I'm making instead of just text. So if you click on it, you can actually just download a PNG of it. They even allow you to like select different colors. Oh, nope, that's a pro version, never mind. So you can download just a black and white PNG version of it. And that's free. And you just have to create an account. Or you can just screenshot the icon as well. And then use it in your presentation. So that's called thenounproject.com. And it's just basically all these icon creators creating lots of different icons. So like if you search university, they're all little different variations. This is maybe the last tool, is Google Drawing. So what it allows you to do is kind of make your own little diagram. So instead of like if you weren't trying to make a mind map, but you wanted to show, you know, things that are interconnected. You can just, if you search Google Drawing, it also links into Google Drive, but it allows you to insert like shapes. So if you wanted to make a diagram, like add some text, it allows you to add in bar graphs as well. You can kind of make your own custom, you know, slide with a bunch of different elements. You know, if you were trying to show like recycle, reuse, you know, that you could make your own little diagram using this tool instead of like hopping into Photoshop or going into, you know, Illustrator. This is kind of like a quick way. It's almost like MS Paint, if you guys used MS Paint back in the day. It's very, very straightforward. They have like word art lines. You can add in a table, you know, whoops, like this. You can stretch this out so it's a blue background, and then you can export this. So you can download this as a JPEG or a PNG. And what's nice is it also saves in your Google Drive so you don't lose access to it. I think those are actually all the tools that I was going to cover. Is there any that you guys wanted to spend more time with or you had questions about? Is anyone going to use these in any particular way? Yeah.
Maybe Spark for part of the what's it called, the social media posts.
Yeah. So.
That's not technically a presentation. That's interesting.
Yeah. So like if you, oh shoot, I'm not logged in. So, yeah. So what it allows you to do is create social posts and graphics, web stories, and animated videos. I guess videos could actually be helpful for you guys as well, but I'll go over posts really quick. It's essentially also similar to Canva, the other one I didn't show, but oops. It's the same thing where it basically provides you these templates. So you can use both of these tools interchangeably. But they'll like produce like an Instagram or a poster, or they have different styles. And these are the templates, or you can start from scratch. So like say I want to start with this template. You can, it has like different styles, and then it's, oops, you can change whatever the text is, you know. Done. That'll change the text. You can move it around. I can replace these images if I wanted using that template that they have. You can actually also find free photos, so it links into Creative Commons licensed photos. So if you don't have an image already, you can search. I don't know if this will, oops. Like, so I searched Michael Jordan. It's not going to give me Michael Jordan, but it'll give me like, you know, some shoes that might make sense to put in there. But then you can also kind of plop in your own images. And then, so they have like designs, so you can actually choose different design. You can, and it also has this kind of like remix function, so you can just have it do it by itself. And then there's layout. So like they'll give you different layout components. Just different grid layouts. They have very similar thing to what I was showing you about with Adobe Color. They have different color palettes. I think with this free version you can't really, let's see, set up my brand. Oh shoot, okay, that's not what I want to do. You can, I don't think you can make your own color palette, but you can choose from the color palettes that they have there. So when you make one Spark account, you can create all of these different kinds. I'll show you a video really quickly. Let's see, let's make one about dogs. So with Adobe Spark for video, it actually kind of creates like a PowerPoint kind of slide setting. So you could use this in that way, but what it allows you to do is just add photos, add video, add text, and add icons. Let me see, add a photo. So you click it, it'll put that image in there. I can click on this little microphone icon, and what it does is it allows me to record a voiceover over this image. And then, you know, like let's say I add an icon here, put that dog, I can put some voiceover, I can maybe add, you know, another photo. I think they have different layouts, split screens, so maybe I'll add an icon about the cat. So you could pull this video and put it in your presentation as well. So all it does is, let's see, it makes this like really, it puts the music in there for you and it creates that. So, and then if you had voiceover, it would also add that in as well. And I think they even give you, yeah, so there's music you can choose from. This is all like free stock music. And it's very similar to Page where it has different themes. So like the reason that these styles of these icons change depending on the theme. Let me see what else you can do. So then, and they have different layouts. So like that was the split screen layout. You can have a layout that puts a caption, title, and text. And then you can download this as a video file. So it's probably just going to download as like a .mov file. Anyways, that'll take a sec. Yeah, okay, a .mp4 file. And then you could drop that in to your presentation. So if you kind of want something that's has a little more motion, this would be a good way to do that. Any other questions? Cool. I think that's it. Thanks, guys, for coming. If you have any other questions, feel free to talk to me afterwards.